Hello, everybody. This is Francesco Rulli. We're here with Stephen Gargano, who is a Chief Financial Officer and also an Innovation Specialist. Stephen, if you can share with us a little bit more insights about your work.
Thank you very much. So I'm a CPA by trade, and currently I'm the Chief Financial Officer of CreditRiskMonitor, which is a public company. But I like to say what I do is I make water wetter, and I like to take good people, processes, and technology and help a company do more with less. My background as a CPA, I started in audit. I was in financial consulting for a while. I've worked in hedge funds, private equity funds, in addition to holding roles as head of client service at other organizations. So what I like to do is I like to try to marry the technology side with helping people innovate from the client service side to help build a better product and ultimately drive profits and cut down costs.
Very interesting. Thank you, Stephen. So we have entered a very special era in our lives. COVID has literally changed a lot, and technology has advanced at a much higher speed than in the past. What are your thoughts about the role of artificial intelligence from your perspective and in your industry?
Artificial intelligence is that X factor, that secret sauce that really helps a company do more with less. In that they need more data, but what they're able to do is they're able to get the exact pieces of information they need for executives to make decisions. The key with anything that we're doing, whether it's in finance and client service for customer base, you want people to have areas where they can make decisions based on. Artificial intelligence is that, where normally you would have had people go back in a room and analyze data and have accountants or everyone run spreadsheets and then kind of put that together and you whiteboard it. Artificial intelligence allows something to be done real time. It allows agile decision making and processes where a company can then allocate the resources they need exactly to where they want to be. And then they can actually analyze those outcomes in real time. Artificial intelligence, I'm almost jealous that we have this now, and it's just going to continue to get better and better and better. The key is getting people on board in organizations to utilize it, finding the right business partner in which to create that artificial intelligence, and also figuring out the framework in which what you want the artificial intelligence to do and what those measures of success are when you have that output and how to act on them.
Fantastic. So you mentioned figuring out the structure. What do you think is the right person within an organization? You know, in our industry, we speak about the new role of the cognitive officer. How does it interlock with other roles that has already been established from IT to information officers? What are your thoughts about that?
This is something that I would believe most executives would say cognitive officer, intelligence. They think computers and they say, I have a chief technology officer. I check the box. I'm done with that. To me, putting on my finance hat, putting on my client service hat, I think that is not the right path to go down as far as framework of thinking about a chief cognitive officer or somebody who is your head data scientist. That role really needs to be bifurcated from IT. Just because something is technology, we all use computers now, we all use software. So you can't say to me in my accounting department, I'm part of IT because I use a SaaS-based model to do finance, budgeting, and record keeping. Therefore, the same thing goes when you're looking at artificial intelligence or you're looking at from client service and applying any of those metrics. It doesn't fall under IT. IT is a way to help you get to that. They're the highway department that can help build that road. But you need that engineer to design the road. How many lanes do you want? How wide should it be? Where should it go? These are all the things that data scientist, that cognitive officer can help you set that structure and plan for. The other thing that's very important too is that depending on what you want this to do, you have to know your customer, and knowing your customer is it your client? Is it an internal customer? Is it finance? Is it the sales department? Is it the board? Is it a decision maker? Is it investors? Is it a venture capital? Who's your customer? You need to kind of I've worked a lot in agile and scrum type of processing. And the key is you need to know what the outcome is, who your customer are. You need to interview them. You need to ask them, what do they want? By designing something in a bubble for what you think you want, or what IT thinks is the easiest, or what could be done for a certain budget, or what could be done in a certain time frame, it ultimately, more often than not, leads to failure. In that, if something isn't easy to use, the customer doesn't use it. If something doesn't give you the data, management doesn't use it. If something isn't giving you the proper metrics, your private equity, your VC, you're not communicating your vision and your ideas. So to your point, I really think that this is a separate division. And I'm using the word division because I don't think it's one person. I think that person needs to be a collaborative person. They need to be someone who marries the people skills, bridges it with technology, finance, data, and understanding, and also a lot of project management, I believe, is involved as well. It is a very, very important position, and I think organizations should start to consider it either as a position or possibly as a collaborative team under this designation.
Very good. Yes, Stephen, I agree with you. Now, going on a more cultural route, yesterday I shared with you the artificial intelligence of Michelangelo that we built actually in collaboration with the Cathedral of Florence, the Museum of the Cathedral of Florence, which you see the picture behind me. What are your thoughts when you got to speak to Michelangelo 455 years after he passed?
The application was absolutely wonderful in that, in the presenting it in a way of, it wasn't a chat bot. It wasn't, do you have a question? It felt a little bit human to me, where Michelangelo was, hey, I'm sorry I can't be here. I lived so far a long time ago. But what I'd like to do is I would like to share some of my story. And it kind of says, I have a lot of stories, and how can I share this with you? And it prompts you in certain ways in which to like, what's your name? So it gives me now a human factor. Instead of me, what's your question? What's your famous so-and-so? When was this? What's your name? All right, my name is Steven. And it starts to, then it says, well, did this answer your question? And the pictures, instead of just text, pictures would come up. And this is my famous painting, and this is who I worked with. And, no, I didn't become rich, but this guy did. And it was asking you, there was one point where it was asking me a question. It was like, do I look sad or do I look happy in this? And I was like, wow, now you're interacting with me and you're giving me avenues of choice that normally you just would have had your yes and no of, yep, that answered my question. Instead, now it's prompting me to interact a little bit. And I never would have thought that, do I look happy or sad? Is this picture or painting, does it look like it was finished, or can you tell the difference? And that marrying of the pictures, it's the scrolling up and down, the yes or the no, was definitely a different experience. And seeing it in the application of the museum setting, in getting to know an artist or even a website or something a little bit better, that I thought was a very interesting, because now you're taking me, and instead of, I'm not being aggressive toward the chatbot, I'm actually being friendly toward the chatbot, where I understand it's trying to help me, and it's not like, why isn't there a tour guide here that I can ask questions to? But overall, I can see this in a museum setting, academic setting, and definitely a lot on some, maybe even a product setting of, how can I answer, or can I show you how this model has changed, or what's different for cars or for anything else. So it was definitely a wonderful experience.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephen. So to close, if people want to learn more about you and your work, what's the best way to reach out to you or to learn more?
The best way, I'd say, you can always reach out to me on my LinkedIn page, Stephen Gargano, CPA. Or if you want to, you could visit CreditRiskMonitor.com, and you can reach out to me via the website. But I look forward to answering anyone's questions and engaging with anyone who's interested.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Thank you.